When you start writing and you start kind of mapping things out and you are finding the characters and you're kind of creating the arcs and the motifs, do you ever kind of like assign a certain character an instrument, like, oh, this character is going to have this instrument or this character is going to do this? And I'm curious if you kind of cast your instrumentation and usage kind of similar to how a director would cast an actor for a role or something. I'm curious if that's something that you ever do.
That's a great question. I do that, but for three ways, what I did for this was I leveraged certain sounds for specific moments,
Okay, yeah.
versus giving each character. So like, again, there was Justin's perspective, there was Lorraine's perspective, or it's really Stacy, Justin, and then Lorraine. And so what I did was I kind of assigned the motifs that I created through Morse code. I pretty much leveraged those throughout those entire segments. And so if those are the foundation, I'm building on top of that. And then there were also like some of the heated like sex scenes where I created the jungle theme where I didn't use Morse code for those, but I had the heavy 808s. I had the fast, it was almost like heartbeat, you know, and
Yeah.
also actually through when we're with Tony, who's the older guy, who's Lorraine's partner, I did kind of like some tribal stuff because he was like a Reiki teacher. They were very, down to earth, very earthy people. And so I created some interesting things for like Tony's segments as well. So he was actually someone who I created specific things or specific cues character wise. He was pretty much the only character I did that for. But what I mainly did was I focused on for this creating a sound for different perspectives and segments of the film and of the story. And then of course, like I said, those sex themes, I created like a jungle motif. And then at the end, I pretty much tied all of them together because it's like this 4-minute cue pretty much that is like the summary of the entire movie pretty much. When I would look at certain scenes and when we're like, okay, music is going here, and I would just kind of look at the scene. And of course, like I had watched the movie a few times. So I had a good idea of how the story was flowing, how certain dots were connecting. And so I would make mental notes about how things should tie together. And I would kind of organize those things in a spreadsheet to kind of say, hey, okay, this is here, this is here, this is here. But overall, it was a situation where I'm like creating things, plugging it in to see if it fits and it works. And if not, okay, let's take this out. Let's put this here. Let's move this here. Like, how is this landing? And it was really just a situation like that where it's a blend, like the spreadsheet, but also keeping in mind of like what I've seen, how the story works. Because I think as a composer, you have to feel the story as deeply as the director, in my opinion, in a short amount of time, so that you can really understand how to like bring it to life. And again, like what's interesting about this film in general is it was kind of in alignment with my geometry project, like the topic. And so I was actually talking to someone previously about just this film and how it was connected to like geometry. And I just always pay attention to how things that come into my awareness, like when people ask me to work on projects, like, how is this in conversation with your previous work or something that you wanted to work on, or just your thoughts and things like that. And so again, when this came across in my email, I'm like, man, wait a minute, this is like kind of the film version of my geometry project. So that was fun too, because I had already, even though the story was pretty much, it was slightly different, but there was a lot of themes that were similar. And so it was easy to tap back into that mode and kind of like really internalize the story in a way that helped me just vomit the ideas and keep things together so that it felt cohesive overall.